Hey, what is going on guys? Danny here, welcome back to the channel and I hope you've all been doing well. First things first, I'm sure many of you who are looking to pick up an RTX 3080 on launch or since launch have probably been through one ugly crap show. Since my video discussing Nvidia's statement, things haven't really improved all that much, and I still know many people haven't been able to get their hands on these cards, and that's quite unfortunate. Cards are still being sniped by scalpers and bots. Meanwhile, actual consumers are being forced to camp in front of their computer screens, refreshing multiple tabs from multiple retailers. I was in that boat too. I was trying to work with some places and a couple of my sources to try and sample one, but because supply was so low and demand was astronomically high, it made it next to impossible. Very luckily though, I just so happened to check Newegg yesterday at around 4 PM Eastern, and I saw the MSI Trio X have an add to cart button. Quickly working my way towards adding the card into my cart and trying to check out Newegg as I knew I had a window of a few seconds, Newegg actually had even made me re-log into my account in the midst of the process for some reason, and when that happened, my heart just absolutely sank, and I thought, alright, it's done, it's over, someone probably already got it by now, or a bot probably sniped it. But much to my surprise, after re-logging in, I was greeted by the final review order page and was able to check out successfully. Thankfully, the card shipped from their warehouse in Richmond Hill, Ontario, which isn't too far from where I live. So I actually ended up getting a tracking notification the day of purchase, and the card arrived to my doorstep the next day. I was ecstatic that I had finally gotten my hands on a 3080. With that said, definitely stay tuned, there will be a lot of content coming in the near future surrounding the RTX 3080 and some other interesting topics that involve it, so make sure you're subscribed for that, and remember to hit the bell icon so you never miss another one of my videos. Now, onto the content of this video, where I will be focusing on the RTX 3090's performance benchmarks, which all went up today from various PC hardware review outlets, and be giving my thoughts on them. Since after seeing the reviews today, my opinion on the RTX 3000 series has taken quite the nosedive compared to how I felt about the cards near launch. I actually wanted to make a video like this when the RTX 3080 came out, but decided to hold off on it as I thought it would be best to just wait a week and see how the 3090 performs and get an overall picture. Most of my focus will be on the more expensive 3090, though knowing how the 3080 performs will be essential too. So to recap from last week, when the 3080 came out, it was regarded as a very fast graphics card, which did bring quite a generational leap. While it didn't meet Nvidia's 2x claim, on average it still delivered a solid 60 to 70% performance improvement at 4K over the RTX 2080, depending on things like settings and game engines. When compared to the RTX 2080 Ti, which was retailing for around $1,000 a few months ago, the 3080 was quite a bit faster there as well. You can expect a performance improvement of approximately 25 to 30%. Just looking at some of the 4K benchmarks with the RTX 3080 this generation, you can finally acclaim to having a graphics card that can comfortably game at 4K with most of the visual fidelity features maxed out. It definitely brought a lot of performance to the table compared to its predecessors, where the 2080 was only about 25% faster than a 1080 and matched the 1080 Ti at best. Now, I'm only going to be showing you guys some benchmark graphs. Obviously, if I showed you all the graphs, it would be, stealing their work, and this video would also be going on forever. So I highly urge you guys to check out as many reviews and benchmarks as possible as you can, and also form your own conclusions. The 3080, however, didn't bring these large performance jumps without a cost. These Ampere GPUs are quite power hungry, and the 3080 was reported to consume around 320 watts, with partner models exceeding that and consuming around 340 watts or 350 watts, thanks to higher power limits and factory overclocks. So if you are planning on getting one of these GPUs, please ensure you've got a high wattage power supply, at least 750 watts for the 3080, and I'd say 850 watts for the 3090, and a quality unit at that. If you guys are interested, definitely check out my Amazon storefront page, and there I've listed some good quality units that you can pick up, which should run the RTX 3080 or 3090 without any problems. Moving on to the RTX 3090, and I had actually made a video late last week where I went over some leaked benchmarks. The benchmarks showed a performance gain of around 10 to 15% over the RTX 3080 at 4K, which was definitely underwhelming, and I had suspected that these numbers might be legit, and it wouldn't be surprising to see them when the review embargo lifts for the RTX 3090. Well, lo and behold, as the reviews came out, the general consensus was that the RTX 3090 just doesn't make any sense whatsoever for gamers. You can go ahead and take a look at the benchmarks, but many places showed the 3090 only providing a 10% improvement, some even said as low as 5%. It was very underwhelming for a product that costs over double the price of the 3080. The cost per frame here is terrible. Nvidia were obviously well aware of this fact, which is why they put on this whole fiasco during launch about how the 3090 can game at 8K, but that's really only when certain conditions are met, like the game is extremely well optimized like Doom Eternal, or when you can account for things like DLSS 2.0 to be doing most of the brunt work, where the game isn't even actually running at 8K, but running at a lower resolution like 1440p and upscaling it. While I'm a fan of the DLSS 2.0 tech, it's not something I would say is going to certainly make 8K gaming possible, as you first need to implement it from a developer side of things. So Steve did run some numbers at 8K and they were just laughable. I mean, sure, 30 FPS isn't unplayable, especially if you're used to consoles, but that frame time graph was just hilarious, and you really wouldn't be having a good time playing a game with that inconsistent behavior. The 3090 was very poorly marketed for a card what was otherwise a pretty good product, not for gamers, but with its large 24GB VRAM buffer and over 10,000 CUDA cores, it would be a good option for workstation users. Consumers who do stuff like 3D animation, use Blender, do high-end rendering, they will totally benefit from using a graphics card like this. However, that's only partially true. Linus went over this in his review and showed some production benchmarks where the RTX 3090 fails to beat the old Titan RTX and loses by a big margin at that. This is because Nvidia decided not to make the same driver level optimizations for these kinds of programs for the 3090 as they would do with the Titan, because it's not a Titan. But wait, Nvidia, before introducing the RTX 3090, mentioned they wanted to bring a GPU to consumers like the Titan as they saw increasing demand from enthusiasts for this level of performance. However, now we're learning that because it isn't a Titan, it won't get the same treatment and doesn't perform as you'd expect from a Titan. This decision from Nvidia remains to be unchanged for the foreseeable future. See, now I'm confused. At first, when the 3090 was unveiled, I was impressed, thinking, hey, while it may not be the go-to card for gamers, lots of Titan fanatics will surely appreciate a graphics card that's on paper tremendously faster than the last gen Titan and is actually $1,000 cheaper. Seems like a win all around to me. So the RTX 3090 is definitely not for gamers, and it has its drawbacks to where it can't be considered a true Titan replacement. So who's this $1,500 card for exactly? Nvidia really should have taken the time to emphasize where the card would shine its best, but instead decided to throw around 8K gaming, and unless you have some real deep pockets and an 8K TV, which by the way costs several thousands of dollars and isn't even abundantly available on the market, then you can just forget it. Nvidia basically took a page out of AMD's marketing book and pulled a Radeon 7, where a card that looked great for production was marketed towards gamers when there were much better options available on the market at the time, and then later got cannibalized by an even cheaper one. So they really should have done a better job at marketing the card towards content creators and workstation users rather than 8K gaming, bruh. I want to circle back to what I said about the 3090 not being a Titan replacement. This means that we'll probably see an Ampere Titan be released, maybe later this year or maybe next year, but this pretty much confirms we'll see one, and considering that this 3090, a fake Titan, was $1,500, how much will the actual Titan be? And that thinking about that is quite worrisome. This to me just seems like Nvidia for some reason wanted to release a 3080 Ti and wanted to release it at a higher price, but decided how could we make it so that this could be perceived as better value, and so they called it the 3090. Because with this generation, they really needed to show gamers that, hey, this isn't a bad generation like how Turing was. This time we are giving you a nice performance leap. Now, we have seen some rumors and leaked documents from AIBs such as Gigabyte and Galax, who all but confirmed the existence of a 20GB 3080. Whether this is actually still planned or not, or whether they're waiting to see what AMD does and then respond, still remains to be seen. But I just want to ask you guys something. After seeing the performance benchmarks of the RTX 3080 and 3090, and looking at these close margins, where would a 3080 20GB version fit? Or where would the 3080 Ti fall if they ever released that? Because I really don't see any room as to where it can fit in the performance hierarchy. Yes, we presumably know it'll fall between a 3080 and 3090, but the 3080 already delivers like 90% of the performance of a 3090. So if they were to come out with a 3080 with 20 gigabytes or a 3080 Ti with some bumped up specs from the 3080, well, it's essentially just going to cannibalize the RTX 3090 then, because then everyone's just going to say, save your money, go with the 3080 Ti or 3080 with 20 gigabytes. I'm just not sure what they could do here, and price-wise, it'll probably have to be around $900. Otherwise, it goes back to the discussion we had earlier where you should just get the 3080 then. It almost seems like Nvidia kind of jumped the gun and made the 3080 too good. Now, we have seen Nvidia not be afraid of completely making a product obsolete, one of their products that is. They did that with the Kepler Titan, where I believe the 780 Ti ended up outperforming it once they needed to respond to AMD's R9 290X. They also had this happen with the GTX 1080 Ti as well. I remember the original Titan Pascal came out before the 1080 Ti, and what had happened was that Nvidia was kind of afraid, or, were aware of the looming threat of Vega, whatever or however it was going to turn out to be. So when they had released the GTX 1080 Ti, all they did was just make a card with one less gigabyte of VRAM when compared to the Titan Pascal. But otherwise, performance-wise, it was exactly the same. So that pissed off a lot of original Titan owners, and they complained, and then, eventually you got your Titan Pascal or Titan XP upgrade. And that was what had differentiated the actual Titan Pascal from the 1080 Ti later. But the damage by then had already been done, but it also just goes to show you that, Nvidia is not afraid of throwing or cannibalizing one of their older products under the bus. So we'll see, and a lot of future developments will heavily depend on just how competitive AMD will be. The ball is in their court, and I think they've got some really good opportunities here to steal the spotlight from Nvidia. So I just can't wait to see what they have in store for us. As for Nvidia, well, the 3090 just isn't even worth it. You're better off getting a 3080 and calling it a day. But the bigger matter on our hands right now is if you can even find any of these damn GPUs in stock, so good luck. I hope you guys found this video to be informative and helpful. Let me know your thoughts down below. Check out the video description on ways to support the channel and for my other videos. If you guys are interested in more content like this, then make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one.